Hello, welcome. In this video, I'm going to go over Program 5. First, I need to share my screen and make sure that we are recording. Okay, all right, here we are, Program 5, and we are recording. Okay, perfect. All right, so this is Program 5. So the first thing I want to point out is that you should have already open and ready to go your, let me close all this up here. All right. So I've got my program 4 already done and already ready to go. And if you take a look at program 4 and you take a look at program 5, there are some very big similarities. So it's very important that you got your program 4 working as expected. So let's take a look at the program 5 instructions and compare those instructions and talk about what we're doing here. So we're going to play the same letter game. The only thing is that we're going to store all of our each round of the game in an array. So actually, I'm going to open this with um, so I can write on it. I'm going to open this with Microsoft Edge. All right, if I open with Edge, then I think I can write on it. So I can kind of draw a picture of what we're doing here. So instead of doing a struct, we're changing our struct to a class. So we have class letter guess when the other one had a struct. So this is now a class, which is acting just like a struct because all the member variables are public and it doesn't have any member functions. So we're just getting used to using the word class and starting talking about objects and stuff. So what we're going to have is we're going to have an array like this. So I think it's going to be called game list, right? So the array is going to be called game list. So this is game list at index 0, and this is game list at index 1, etc. So at le, game list at index 0 is an object of type letter guess. So the same way that current game is an object of type letter guess. You can pass game list at object at index 0 to any of these functions. All right, so these four functions, the only thing you have to change in these four functions is dealing with the name because now the name has become a member variable. And we also have another member variable about whether or not the current person has won or lost that game. So in here, we're going to have a solution, a max guesses, a guess too high, guess too low, the name, and whether or not they won or lost. And here we're going to have the same thing. So you're going to have to keep a count. So the count starts at 0, that's index 0. Then you move the count to 1, that's index 1. Move the count to 2, that's index 2, etc. We're going to use a static array. That means that we're going to declare our array to be of size 30. You use a constant here for the static array. All right, so that's pretty much what we're going to do here. Now the max guesses is initialized to 0 here, but actually you want it to be 6, right? Because you want the user to be able to have 6, but you can fix that in your setup one round function. You can change that to 6. Just a few more things. Do not use global variables. Uh, do not use break statements to get out of the loop. Make sure that you update the comments. So let's take a look here at my program 4. So my program 4, the big change here is that you're still going to use, this is the same. You're just going to remove this name from play one round because play one round isn't, name is now is now a member variable. But other than that, as long as you got your program 4 working as expected, you can copy and paste most of the information from these four functions right here directly into program 5. All right, so let's get started with program 5. I'm going to go ahead here and go to the online compiler. All right. So I'm going to have to add a file here for my input file. It's letters.txt. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste the letters. Make sure all the letters should be lowercase. And then here I will put the template. All right, so I've given you a lot of help here. The same help that I did on program 4 for these functions, 1, 2, and you can actually, if you got your program 4 working as expected, you can go ahead here and almost copy and paste in here directly everything. There's just a few changes that need to be made. But the process guess function, you can copy and paste, and the setup, the get next guess, I think get next guess and process guess will be the same. Play one round has one added feature that you're going this won or lost member variable. So if the user wins, you want to make sure that you keep track of the fact that they won that round. If the user did not win, that means that they did not win. I even added for you here a condition so that you can print and let them know that they did not win. So you're going to take that name out of the parameters, and it's going to be now part of your current game object, your letter guess object. So the other thing is, please, I really do not want you to, I know that some of you might be interested in starting from scratch and trying to do this all from scratch, and I really don't want to discourage you from doing that, but at the same time, I don't want you to use AI to have uh, it generate the code for you, because that doesn't follow my guidelines. So I recommend that you please look at my guidelines and work through it on your own. And then if you want to add additional features after you've completed your code and you understand what you're doing, certainly you could try to add additional features. All right, so but please run them by me or by a TA. And really, if you want to add additional features, you don't really need to add it for what you're submitting. That would just be because you're interested. All right, so now the first thing I would like to do is I'm going to see if I'm connecting to the file. So let's go here and let's change this name really quick. And it didn't open correctly, so I'm going to make the assumption now that I have connected to the file. I could, in order to try it, I could declare a char letter. I could read the letter from the file and print it onto the screen just to double check and make sure that it does work. Okay, so it printed a G, so I'm assuming G is the first letter in the file, so it does work, so I can move on from that. So here we're going to do the same thing that we have been doing, where we're going to have the user say yes or no, whether or not they would like to continue. So that's for this loop. Would you like to play the game? Yes or no? If they say yes, you're going to set up a round, play around, add one to game count. So let's talk a little bit about that. So the first thing we need to do here is obviously you need to take care of this part, but that you've already done. But we do need to declare an object of type letter guess. And we're going to call that game list. And we're going to make that size, I think, I'm not sure, num games. So this is going to be an array of letter guess games, and it's going to be size 30. So we also need to have a game count and initialize that to 0. This way this is going to keep track of the first empty spot. So we have our game list. So we connect to the file. Would you like to play yes or no? The user says yes. So then you're going to set up one round. Set up one round is going to be exactly the same function, only you have to add the extra things to your class. So you're going to have to add the member variables. I have them from my program 4 here. Alrighty, so let me get my program 4 open here so I can add these member variables. So you can just copy and paste those member variables. You have uh, you have the solution, and you can initialize these. Some compilers will like you to initialize everything, so you can initialize them. Like you can initialize this uh, to the empty string. I mean to the nothing. You could initialize this to nothing. To the null character, you can initialize this to 6 and initialize these to false or 0. Some compilers don't care, but at any rate, you are going to, you are going to set up a round before you play around anyway. So the setup around function is going to uh, get the first name, set the first name, and reset all field or member variable values, and then get the solution. So the logic is, yes, I want to play a game. I set up a round, then I play a round. So you set up the round, you play the round. Make sure after you play, you add 1 to game count so you move along in the array. Would you like to go again? Yes, I would like to go again. I set up a new round, play a new round, add 1 to game count. Would you like to go again? So let's just go through. You set up, I already talked about setting up. Playing one round just has a couple of things added. When you play one round, you're going to have to you're going to take care of the name through a member variable, so you don't pass that as a parameter anymore. And you have to keep track if they won or lost that round. Keep in mind that if they do win, do not use a break statement to break out of this loop. Figure out a way to stop the loop, like set the value to 0. I mean, to max guesses, right? So if your iterator is I, if you get to this point right here and they won, in order to end this loop without, you can just say I equals max guesses, which is going to be current game dot max guesses. And this will change. So if you're saying for I equals 0, I less than max guesses, if you set I to the max guesses, it's going to stop the loop because this loop is going to become false. So that just gave you a little hint there. Please do not use the break. All right, so you play around. In order to play around, you do the process guess. Process guess is going to work the same as it did. You process the guess. If this means if they processed it, the bool returns true. That means that they guessed it correctly. Then they won. Then you stop the loop. If they didn't guess it correctly, then you're going to go up to the next max guess, process the next one, and continue on. And then also, of course, uh, before you process it, you have to get the next guess. So you're going to have to call the function get next guess. But again, it works just the same way as it did in program 4. So the big change for program 5 is this post the game results. So this is going to function. It's like any other array. It's just an array. Instead of an array of ints or doubles, it's an array of letter guess objects. You have your count. So here you're going to have to connect to an output file. You should do all the connecting here and make sure that you close it. So you should declare your output file stream, use your open, and then you can use out to put it into the file, and then make sure you close it so that the next time it will rewrite and it'll be the new thing. It'll overwrite what was there. There's no level in this game, so I'm going to remove that. I don't know what happened there. Oh, I have to remove the level. You just have to put the name and whether or not they won or lost. So in order to do that, you have to loop through the array, right? You want to loop for each round of the game, each time someone, so we can bring that up here. This is what goes into the output file. Be sure that you name the file letter game results. I'm not sure why it doesn't open. There it is. So when you connect, you have to open it. The name of the file should be letter game results. And inside, I just put this because I like to I don't know. You don't have to put that part. You just have to put and I gave you this part with the tab. See the tab here? So you just have the name and then you tab to won or lost. And then you just have to loop through it like this and print the name and whether or not they won or lost, which are both part of game list at index I. So it would be the loop is going to be like for int I equals 0, oops, I less than game count, I plus plus. Then you would print the what you would be at is at game list. Obviously, you want to see out or out. You would see out game list at index I dot name. Game list at index I dot name and game list at index I dot uh, and you probably want to play with it so that you can tab and have it lined up nicely, but you want to do the name and you want to do the won or lost. So that's all you do. You just have to write a loop and go through it and then make sure that you connect inside the function and that you close outside the function. But there is no level, so I'm going to fix that when I'm done here. All right, so just hopefully you had your program 4 working as correctly so that it's a very easy to add these features, the array feature to program 5.